at some of our expenses that we're going to put on our income and expense statement. So we're going to take a look at here. One of the first things we have under here is going to be some housing costs. So what are some things that can go under there? Well, we for sure can have our housing payment, whether or not it's rent or mortgage, utilities, some property taxes. Again, that is going to be the taxes you pay because you physically own that. Maintenance, taking a look at painting, any type of maintenance within the home that you have. A hot water heater breaks, you got to buy new curtains, new carpeting, those types of things. Household furnishings, new bed, table and chairs, a TV, those types of things that are going to go within your house are going to be some of your household expenses. And the last one is going to be homeowners or renters insurance. Okay? Oftentimes you may find that homeowners insurance may be included within your mortgage depending on how your mortgage is written. But I would say renters insurance, one of the ideas you want to do is you want to make sure you have renters insurance. When you go off, some of you are graduating, going off into college next year, you will find that if you live on campus in a dorm, all of your personal property is going to be covered under your parents' homeowners insurance. If you go off to college but you live on your own in an apartment, your property is not going to be covered under your parents' homeowners insurance. So if somebody comes in and steals your stereo in a dorm, it would be covered under your parents' insurance. If you lived in your own apartment, it wouldn't be, and I would suggest that you take a look at getting renter's insurance. The cost of renter's insurance for a year is relatively cheap. You're looking at maybe $125 for the whole entire year. So make sure you think about that when you're looking at different types of insurance for living on your own. So transportation. So we have your personal automobile. You can have a loan payment, fuel, license and registration, repairs and maintenance. You need to get some new tires. You have to go ahead and get an oil change. Anything that may come up, get your tires aligned, typical things that would happen when you have an automobile. You also, again, need to have insurance, and it can be included in the insurance category as well. If you don't have a personal automobile, if you live, for example, in Chicago and you don't own your own vehicle, you could have public transportation fees, whether or not you get the subway, your cost of taking a taxi, or anything like that. So food, that can be pretty expensive. That can include groceries or going out and eating at a restaurant. Snacks away from home, for example. I just went and got a hot chocolate at Quick Trip. Love it, but that's going to be considered a food category. Any other kitchen supplies that you may have also are going to be necessary food categories. So those are going to be things that would fall under there. Other categories. Okay, we can take a look at family care. Child care allowances or care for other dependents. Communication and computers, you can have cell phones, internet service, and your cable or satellite television. We can also have medical costs not covered by insurance, and that could be medical care or even dental care or any type of medications, prescriptions that you may have. And another category for other would be some clothing and personal care, shampoo, toothpaste, haircuts. All of these things you need to go through and account for because you can't say, oh, I'm never going to buy toothpaste. You got to be able to deal with some of those items. We can take a look at educational expenses, tuition, private lessons or tutoring or supplies. For example, my son gets piano lessons, so therefore the cost of piano lessons is going to be under educational expenses. Pet care, if you're going to own a pet, like I know Brittany would like to, right? You're going to go through and have food, veterinary costs, and even potentially boarding because, we always got to make sure we go to a nice, reputable boarding place. Entertainment, movies, music, whatever you're going to do for entertaining yourself. Maybe it's going to a concert or Country USA or anything like that. That's going to be covered under your entertainment. Credit costs. Credit cards and or student loans are going to be things that would fall under our other category. We could also have gifts or other charitable contributions. So, for example, if you do a donation to the United Way or you make a donation, somebody calls and they're looking at money for Jump Rope for Heart or anything like that, those gifts and charitable contributions can also fall under the other category. So we take a look at what you have to do is you have to make sure that you can categorize and represent all income and expenses you have, and specific categories are going to be more effective than just general. So if you just put things in your income and expense statement and you just kind of lump them all under other without classifying, it's going to be really hard to understand where your money goes. When we take a look at being able to do an income or expense statement, you have to go through and figure out how you're going to track what you're spending your money on. Some people like to go through and do it as recording and writing. Some people use a smartphone. Some people will hang on to the receipts and then go through. You could actually go through and use your bank statement accounts and then go ahead and account for that. So if you take a $100 withdrawal from your ATM, how are you going to spend that $100? Or you could have money management computer software also to help you out. What we're going to do is I want you to realize that some way of documenting your expenses is going to be better than just a mental system. Okay? We're going to talk about Evan, and Evan can trick yourself into thinking that you spend less than you do. Aren't you intrigued? Let's learn about Evan. Okay? On the very bottom of our income and expense statement is going to be our net gain or loss. Okay, so it depends on what's bigger. If your net income is bigger, then you're going to have a net gain. If your expenses are bigger, you're going to have a net loss. So always keep that in mind. This is what we want to see, not the net loss. Net loss is going to be where people get themselves into trouble for bankruptcy. So a goal is to have income from sources other than drawing down savings or selling assets to be greater than expenses. So a net gain, you can use that money for saving or other expenses. A net loss, you have to go through and take a look at decreasing your expenses. Here are three things that we've been talking about. Our statement of financial position is what's happening today. Income and expense statements we're talking about today is how can we manage money in the past. And then our spending plan is going to be my future money plan. So that's going to be where we're going to build into next. So here we have, in summary, your income statement is going to tell you where your money is coming from. It has three components, your income, expense, and net gain and loss. You need to use a type of tracking method to figure out what works best for you. And you have to make sure you can categorize your income and expense into categories, not just general. So, you guys ready to meet Evan? I am. So here he is. Evan gets paid once a month. He puts enough money into his checking account to cover his expenses for the entire month. But Evan has a little problem. He's got that nice smile right here. He runs out of money each month before all the expenses are paid. So what we have to do is we have to go through and take a look at how Evan is spending his money and help him create an income and expense. And that's what I'm going to walk you through right now. So what you are going to find within Google Classroom is you're going to have an income and expense statement that you're going to be filling out and turning in to me electronically because, well, we love to do things electronically. And then I'm also going to be giving you some directions. So this is not going to need to be turned into me quite yet. So we have the information below is provided to create a template for income and expense statement for Evan. Okay, Evan summarizes the information from his March paycheck to the table to the right, and this is his only form of income. So right here is going to be his income. And then Evan went through and used an app on his smartphone to track his expenses for the month. The information from his smartphone was summarized in the table below. So what you're going to need to do is go through and fill this in and categorize what type of expenses these are. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to figure out the categories that are going to be on this statement. Okay, so for example, we know that he had gross income. I'm going to put Evan's name on the top. And then this time period, and this is going to be for March because it gave us that in directions. So his earned income, it told us that he had gross income of $1,600, and that is going to be his wages or salary before deductions. You will notice it's already formatted to put it into commas. When we take a look at my other form of income, basically we have federal income tax, Social Security tax, Medicare, and net income. So net income, again, is the take-home pay. These right here are going to need to be listed someplace else. So we don't have any unearned income or any received income from government programs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all of these extra columns, and I'm going to highlight over here on the left-hand side using my hand. I'm going to highlight from 7 down to 20, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right-click over here on the numbers, and then I'm going to delete those rows. And you will notice right here, there's already a formula in here, and it's just going to add up everything from up above. So what we want to do is we need to personalize this income and expense statement to only have items on here that relate to Evan. I'll do a couple more just to help you out. So we take a look at it. He has federal income tax, Social Security, Medicare. Those are going to go right under here under deductions from paycheck. So he has a federal income tax right here of $200, and then he has Social Security, which is also known as FICA, of $99.20. I put it in the wrong spot. And he has Medicare of $23.20. And those are all of his deductions. So I can go ahead and get rid of line 20. I can get rid of line 10. Be careful, because when you delete the row, you'll have a hard time adding it back in. So these are going to be my deductions often taken from paycheck. He's going to have federal income tax, Social Security, and Medicare. Now, all of these other expenses here, you're going to have to go through and figure out on this sheet what category it's going to fall into. And this will take a little bit of time. And I'm not going to give you the answer because I want you to figure it out a little bit on your own. So you're going to need to go through and do this. So you're going to want to go through it and fill out the paper form. And then you're going to go ahead and add information on here. And I want you to realize that right here the formula is already in there for you. It's going to add up your expenses, and it's going to show you your net gain or your net loss. And I'll give you a heads up. Evan's not doing so hot, so you will be having a net loss. So take a look at this sheet. It'll help you out. Two things I'm going to need from you. You do need to turn in this Google Sheet to me using Google Classroom. And then this document will need to be printed, out, and you're going to need to fill this in and turn it in to me as well. Good luck and have fun.